2 Thessalonians chapter 3 and verse 6. Now we command you, brethren, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that you withdraw yourselves from every brother that walketh disorderly.
This what?
Disorderly.
Notice it says disorderly. This can go to various things conduct-wise that now we need to separate from you because your conduct is off. You do not have good behavior. You could be shaming the ministry with your actions. A bishop, someone that's representing the church, has to have a good rapport of them that are without. Why? Because we are surrounded by those that want to shame the ministry. We're surrounded by popular persuasions, media, those that try and lay a snare and trap privily. So it behooves you to put somebody in a position that isn't going to shame the ministry when they're outside of the body. Shalom, Messiah in Christ bless. Officer Joshua, IUIC Rochester. We back with the 1 Timothy 3 breakdown, and today is good behavior and a good report from them that are without. Obviously, my voice ain't what it is, but the show must go on. So let's get 1 Timothy 3 and 2.
The book of 1 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 2. A bishop then must be blameless.
So you know what we're doing? We're touching leadership attributes, how to become a leader, how to examine yourself to make sure you're building yourself up to be prepared for the office. And not just to carry it in title, but to carry it in action. So you can move the spirits of the people and gather God's children. Because that's the mission. Read.
A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior.
Of what?
Of good behavior.
You know, being blameless, we went over it. Keeping the commandments, that should be a good behavior, right? There's different things that it's referencing with these words. So it says good behavior, read.
Given to hospitality.
Given to hospitality. Let's jump, what is it, verse 8, where it says a good report of them that are without?
Verse 7. Moreover, he must have a good report of them which are without.
So why does it separate having a report from them that are without and good behavior? Because conduct could go beyond just is it sin or not. And based on how you conduct yourself, you can promote yourself to honor or dishonor. And a bishop must be consistent in how they behave themselves. Their decorum must be on point so that it does not offend, so it does not trim their ways, so it does not leave a bad example, even though some things that you may be doing isn't directly sin, but it may not be expedient. Is that good behavior? Is what you're saying to the use of edifying, or is it corrupt communication? All right, so let's go over to, Bible commentaries. Pull that up. Pull up the commentary on 1 Timothy 3 and 2. And pull up Eliot's commentary for English readers. There you go. There we go. Read.
Of good behavior, rather orderly. This word refers to outward conduct, to behavior in public.
So how you conduct yourself, conduct, your decorum, that's good behavior. Read.
The Christian office bearer must not only be wise and self-restrained in himself, but his outward bearing must in all respects correspond to his inner life.
Just because you know internally the scriptures, just because you know how to break things down, because you have wisdom, your conduct outwardly should support that. So get that in, what is it, Sirach 37? Man of understanding and his fruits fail not. This is good behavior. It goes beyond just, are you committing fornication or not? No. But you might have a genuine conversation with a sister, but are you doing it in the right setting? Are you in the corner talking to her one-on-one? That's not good behavior. That's not abstaining from the appearance of evil. We'll get that one next. Read.
The book of Sirach, chapter 37 and verse 23. A wise man instructeth his people.
That's the inner man. That's the wisdom that you can show and promote by your words. That's the scriptures. Read.
And the fruits of his understanding.
The doings. The fruit. the outward actions that come from that understanding, read,
fail not.
meaning they match the inner man. They match that understanding. You can go to them for scriptures, but you can also watch them in their conduct to make sure that you're walking the right way. A leader needs to do that because everybody around you, when they don't know how to act in a situation, are going to look to the most senior person and see how do they act. What are they going to do? And I'm just going to copy that because I may not have time to study the topic. I may not have time to ask the question, but I know for a fact that this person over there, I trust their moves and I'm going to follow it. So a bishop, a leader must have a good behavior so people can emulate that. Your fruits must not fail the understanding. Go to the other one I mentioned. What was that? Where I said I was talking about appearance of evil. Go ahead.
The book of 1 Thessalonians, chapter 5 and verse 22.
Read.
Let's go. Abstain from all appearance.
Wait, so if it's an appearance, it may not be evil what you're doing. It may not be sin, but Paul is cautioning you to abstain, remove yourself from even the appearance of what?
Of evil.
That goes into your conduct. Have good behavior. Have good decorum. Know how to move. What does the Bible say about this situation and how I should conduct myself in it? And you'll see that with brothers that sometimes they'll do something off and you'll check them and they'll be like, well, what's the scripture on that? Or, wow, I didn't sin. Yeah, but brother, that conduct, that decorum does not fit. Stay in the spirit. That's good behavior. Read.
Abstain from all appearance of evil, and the very God of peace sanctify you wholly.
Go to Sirach 10. This is another example of the importance of having good behavior.
Sirach chapter 10 and verse 1. Come on! A wise judge will instruct his people.
Hey, didn't it say at Sirach, a wise man instructs his people?
Yes, sir.
It said a wise man instructs his people. And in the other verse in chapter 37, right after that says the fruits of his understanding fail not. So now it's saying that same wise judge instructs his people. It's separating the instruction from the conduct because you could have one or the other or both. Read.
And the government of a prudent man is well ordered. As the judge of the people is himself.
Now, as the judge of the people is, and it doesn't matter if you're saying the right things, it's how you act. As you act in the congregation, read.
So are his officers.
So are his officers. The way he is, his body is. The way he acts, they'll act. The spirits you let into your life are the spirits you let into the body. Straight up. So you have to watch your conduct. It may be lawful, but it may not be expedient. Did not Paul say that? Is that it on that verse?
No, sir.
Read the rest of it and then we'll go to that.
And what manner of man the ruler of the city is.
What manner of conduct that man has. Read.
Such are all they that dwell therein.
Now everybody's going to take on those spirits. Why? Because if there's a brother that's 1 year in the truth, a sister that's 2 years in the truth, and they don't know how to move, something happens in the body. Who are they looking to for the example? You. If you do not have your conduct in line with the scriptures, they will copy you. And you'll find out later when the congregation's in disarray, you'll try and check something and be like, well, didn't you? Or I thought that. I thought you said. Or when this happened, I saw you. The conduct needs to match the understanding. And that's why it's part of 1 Timothy 3 of good behavior. Because you can deceive the congregation with your actions, and just what you say and what you teach will not always hold weight and overcome your actions. There's that saying where you teach two ways. You teach with your words and you teach with your actions. Good behavior is teaching with your actions. The wisdom in teaching and being apt to teach, that's teaching with your words. They're separate in 1 Timothy 3 for good reason. Read.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 23.
Come
on! All things are lawful for me.
So you might not be in sin. You may still be blameless. You may still be upright. Read.
But all things are not expedient.
But that thing you're doing is not expedient. Is it a sin to pull a precept if we're studying? No. But decorum says, if you aren't the superior, mind your time, mind your tongue. Now, you may be a superior dealing in the scriptures. Now you come in and try and add to the scriptures. Can I get a precept on that? It may not be your time. Was it a sin? No. But what it did expose was your lack of restraint, discipline, and lack of good behavior. And that comes from somewhere. That could come from your pride, arrogancy, variance, emulation. In that moment, you let it out. The good behavior did not come forth. It was an evil action. It was not expedient for the time. You did not show good behavior. You have to have a track record of knowing how to conduct yourself as a leader. That comes from time, experience, exposure to your superiors so they can teach you the right way to move in certain situations. And you have to study the scriptures because the scripture gives various accounts and advice, counsel on how to move in different situations. Sirach is a good book for that. Decorum, how to move. That's good behavior. Is that it?
No, sir.
Read.
All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not.
All things edify not. That edification is what? The action. He ain't talking about teaching. He's saying, is this action lawful? It is. It's not expedient. Why isn't it expedient? Because it isn't edifying the right way. It is not building the congregation in the right way. It'll send the wrong message. And it's better for me to sacrifice my own actions for the betterment of the congregation than just to do what I want in order to say, oh yeah, well, you didn't know that was okay? Or why are you upset? I didn't sin. No, Paul said that you gotta how do you say it with 1 Corinthians 8 with the food sacrifice to idols? He said, if you make a man stumble in their lack of faith, the sin's upon you. So even with food sacrifice to idols, that was good behavior. It's lawful. These are not idols. So we can eat it, but I'm not going to eat it for your sake. Good behavior. Because I know that's not edifying. Knowledge puffeth up. That's the teaching. But charity what? Edifies. So I'm going to sacrifice my ideal state, my ideal desire and how to move for the betterment and the edification of the body. That's good behavior. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
All right. So now let's go to let's go to James 1:26. James 1:26.
The book of James, chapter 1 and verse 26.
Let's go.
If any man among you seem to be religious.
Whoa. Why would they seem to be religious? Because they may, out of a good conversation, seem like they know scriptures. They may be able to teach well. They may have a lot of exposure. So if any man seem to be religious, go ahead.
And bridleth not his tongue.
But his conduct, his behavior is out of pocket. Read.
But deceiveth his own heart. This man's religion is vain. If any man among you seem to be religious, and bridleth not his tongue,
and does not conduct himself in the right way,
but deceiveth his own heart, this man's religion is vain.
This man's religion is vain. He ain't really following what he says he's following. He has the appearance of godliness, but denying the power thereof. Read.
Pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world.
These are actions. These aren't words. So the fruits of their understanding fail not. All right? Jump to Matthew 5:16. Your religion, your conduct, or your beliefs, your religion or your beliefs will be proved by your conduct. Read.
The book of Matthew, chapter 5 and verse 16.
Come on.
Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify.
Hey, did they catch it? Did they catch it? Read it again.
Let your light so shine before men that they may see.
They may what?
That they may see.
They may see what?
Your good works.
Not good words.
Good works.
Good teachings.
Good works.
So your works, the fruit of your doings must fail not. It is a part of your conduct as a leader to make sure you're on good behavior. That you're edifying through your actions. You are accountable for what the best use of my actions are for the body. It may be lawful. It's not expedient. It's not edifying. So read it one more time.
The book of Matthew, chapter 5 and verse 16.
Come on.
Let your light so shine before men.
And that light obviously is the laws, right? Let it shine before men. Let that conduct shine in your doings. Read.
That they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven.
So now, let's say you were the leader. In the same way we read in Sirach 10, that the congregation is going to take on your spirit. If you're letting your light shine and how you move is manifest, what are they going to do? They're going to glorify God. Not only will they glorify God, but the God they will want to be like you. They'll want to be around you. You'll be able to influence people. You'll be able to move the spirits of men by your good conduct. What is the definition of a hypocrite? One that teaches, but does not do what they teach. That does not breed a climate of people wanting to be like you. So the conduct or the good behavior contradicted the teaching so much that now the people that are subordinate to you don't want to follow you. That's how much the behavior matters. More than just saying things. Are you doing the things? Because no, we ain't stupid. We're all grown men here, grown women. You can see if somebody ain't dealing the way that they're saying they're going to do. And that can affect the body. Are you keeping yourself blameless in your conduct? All right, read that. Was it Sirach 1 where it talks about being a hypocrite? Take heed what thou sayest. Because that's what it's going into. You want the body to be able to glorify your works. Not just people outside the body, but even in the body. A lot of people are trying to get their life together. So when they see somebody in the body making those steps, especially the leader, they feel like, dang, I can do the same thing. You're inspiring to the people. If you are uninspiring as a leader, you cannot make change. Every single revolutionary that we look at, we want to pattern ourselves after. Your Malcolms, your Martins, your Stokeleys, your Garveys, your Turners, your Prossers. Their actions spoke louder than their words. The way they could move, the way they put their life on the line spoke louder than just the rhetoric. And that pushed people to want to change. What are you going to do to make your stand? Read that.
The book of Sirach, chapter 1 and verse 29. Be not an hypocrite in the sight of men.
In the sight of who?
In the sight of men.
What men? Yeah, it could be people out in the world. But who's really going to be critical on your conduct? Don't be a hypocrite in the sight of your men. In the sight of the body. In the sight of those around you. Don't be a hypocrite in their sight. What are they seeing? Your actions. They hear what you say, but in the sight of men, your actions don't match. Read.
And take good heed what thou speakest.
Now make sure you take heed what you say, because by what you say, what measure ye meet, ye shall also be met. Right? Matthew 7. If your conduct or your behavior doesn't match to the words, it's hypocritical. Take heed so you don't seem like a hypocrite in the sight of men. Read.
Exalt not thyself, lest thou fall, and bring dishonor upon thy soul.
How would you fall? What's going to happen? Read.
And so God discover thy secrets.
Thy what?
Thy secrets.
Thy secret doings. Because your behavior isn't upright. You've been feigning the faith. Read.
And cast thee down in the midst of the congregation.
In the midst of who?
In the midst of the congregation.
Those are the same people that were the all men that saw your hypocrisy. Now it's revealed, yeah, they were hypocrites. God gave you time to adjust your conduct to be the leader. Good behavior, to build up to it, to get the experience needed to manage how to move. But now God pulled your ticket and you're exposing the congregation because your good behavior did not match the words. Take heed what thou speakest. Is that it?
Because thou camest not in truth.
In what?
In truth.
So now, you didn't come in truth. The things you say, if you don't match it with conduct, because where you're saying it, if you're saying it and you're teaching it, you obviously understand it. You can understand the discrepancies or the subtleties in the scriptures, right? That's what makes you a good teacher. You can understand these things. But when your actions don't line up with the subtleties you know to teach, it shows you didn't come in truth. There's an ulterior motive. What were the reasons you were able to teach like that, or what did you try and take to for advantage sake with those teachings? It could be power, could be influence, could be vainglory, could be variance, could be emulation. It could be all these spirits that God is now saying, do you now see that you didn't come into truth? The reason you were able to say those things but not do those things because there was an ulterior motive in your spirit. Take heed what thou sayest and be on good behavior. Read.
Because thou camest not in truth to the fear of the Lord.
What does the fear of God do? Let's hold it here and go to Sirach 19 with the performance. Because you came not to truth in the fear of God. It's being very specific what you didn't do in truth. What does this fear of God bring? Read.
Book of Sirach, chapter 19 and verse 20.
Let's go.
The fear of the Lord is all wisdom.
Is all what?
All wisdom.
Let's see if the fear of the Lord and that all that wisdom comes from what you say. Read.
And in all wisdom
Is what?
is the performance of the law.
Is good behavior. Is being able to deal right. So when you didn't come up in truth to the fear of God, you didn't come in truth to the performance of the law. But the word sounded good. There's a wise man that teacheth many, read that, but is yet unprofitable to himself. That's why you cannot ignore, that's why I love when Deacon Yahshua on one of the trips, he said, you cannot ignore every word in the Bible. Everything is in there distinctly. The commas are there for a reason. The type of word is there for a reason. The reason it said, it changed the word, even though it may mean the same thing, it makes it more effective in that context. And that's very important when you read 1 Timothy 3. Why are these different attributes so important that Paul wrote them down as Timothy's going to go ordain bishops in all these cities? Because these are things that are common, but that we don't consider. Read that.
The book of Sirach, chapter 37 and verse 19.
Let's go.
There is one that is wise and teacheth many.
There must be one that's apt to teach, fervent, wise, and understanding. Read.
And yet is unprofitable to himself.
Yet the fruits of his understanding fail. Yet he's acting as if he's a hypocrite in the sight of men. Yet he doesn't have good behavior. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Let's go to 2 Thessalonians 3 and 6. Because if you remember, can you put back up that the commentary? What does good behavior mean? What does good behavior mean? It had one word in orange. Highlight it. What is good behavior?
Of good behavior, rather orderly.
Orderly. Orderly. How you conduct yourself. Is it orderly? Now read that in 2 Thessalonians.
2 Thessalonians chapter 3 and verse 6.
Come
I
on.
command you, brethren, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that you withdraw yourselves from every brother that walketh disorderly.
This what?
Disorderly.
Notice it says disorderly. This can go to various things conduct-wise that now we need to separate from you because your conduct is off. You do not have good behavior. You could be shaming the ministry with your actions. Right? Read.
And not after the tradition which he received of us.
Go ahead.
For yourselves know how ye ought to follow us. For we are behaved.
We what?
For we behaved.
We what?
For we behaved.
Behaved. Behaved. To good behavior is orderly. Withdraw yourself from those that walk disorderly. For you know that when we were among you, we behaved what?
Not ourselves disorderly among you.
We didn't behave with disorder. We had good behavior, or we walked orderly. And who's the we? Paul, the leaders. He said, know that we walked orderly among you, not disorderly. That's 1 Timothy 3. He had to choose men that would be the right example because all these new spirits that he's teaching, you have to make sure you're not a hypocrite in the sight of men. You were entrusted to bring the gospel of salvation across the earth. So Paul's like, I have to make sure that those that bring that gospel back it up with their actions so they can be an example, unreproachable in their conduct. Read.
Verse 8. Neither did we eat any man's bread for naught, but wrought with labor and travail night and day.
Read.
That we might not be chargeable to any of you.
Read.
Not because we have not power.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Read that again.
Not because we have not power.
What is this saying? Paul says, you know what? When I was among you, we behaved ourselves orderly. And I didn't lay myself to your charge. I didn't force you to buy me food. I didn't force you to take care of me. And I didn't do it because I don't have power to. Because in 1 Corinthians 9, it talks about that he has power in order to exact the churches. They raise money to take care of the prophets when they travel. All these different things. We have power to eat and drink. That's what Paul says. He said, it's not that I didn't have the power for y'all to sustain me as I travel, but I didn't want to because it wasn't for the edification. It wasn't orderly. Could you imagine the first time Paul comes? First time he comes up to visit, and he's charging everybody to stay, his food, his drink. He's like, dang, this man preaching the gospel of God, we spend all our money for him to even come. He's like, nah, it's not for the edification of the body right now. Eventually, when you're set up, yes, I'm going to take money from the churches to supply my travel, like he says in Corinthians. Rob the churches. But right now, it wasn't for edification. It wasn't edifying. So I walked orderly. Go ahead.
Not because we have not power, but to make ourselves an ensample.
Yeah, what?
An ensample.
Was it unlawful if he had them help him out with his travel? No. But was it expedient? No. At the time, he wanted to be edifying and be an example. That's good behavior. He walked orderly. And then he counseled them, or withdraw from them that walk disorderly. Read.
But to make ourselves an ensample unto you to follow us. For even when we were with you, this we commanded you, that if any would not work, neither should he eat.
Read it one more time since the mic cut out.
For even when we were with you, this we commanded you, that if any would not work, neither should he eat.
How could he command that if the first time he goes up there, he ain't working and he's eating off the congregation? He's like, nah, there's a spirit here. I'm going to make sure I'm the example. Even though I could do it, it's not for the edification of this body. This body got spirits, people trying to freeload off the church. Make sure they work. Because I came to you, I worked with travail and toil to not only work to supply myself with food, but then to teach you right after. I walked orderly. So any man that walks disorderly among you and doesn't want to work to get bread, withdraw yourself. Read.
Verse 11. For we hear that there are some which walk among you disorderly.
That's the point. Good behavior goes beyond just am I in sin or not. Is this edifying? So he hears a report before he goes. He's like, yo, there are brothers in this congregation that walk disorderly and don't want to work. There's an issue. Let's go visit the church. He visits the church and makes it a point to not live off the congregation, but to be an example and make sure anybody that doesn't want to follow this example, because we're on good behavior, they walk disorderly and abandon the traditions we left with you. That was for the edifying of the body. It wasn't unlawful to ask for them to supply it, but it wasn't expedient at the time. And that goes for everything as in a leader's position. Is it expedient right now with who's around me to say this thing I'm going to say to the brother? Or is it even, do I have to say it even though, the brother's a good brother, but I got to put him out of the fire right now because people are listening? And if I rest judgment right now and talk to him later, it's going to look like I'm complicit. That's good behavior. This is the time. So all others can fear. We're going to rebuke before all. These are decisions you got to make according to Scripture to be on good behavior and leave a good example. Because again, when you are in that position, the people rely on you to make their decisions, whether they ask or not. They may not ask the question every week about how to make this decision, but for damn sure, they looking at you and seeing, did he ever make that decision? What did he do? I'm going to do the same. And you liable for that if you walk in disorderly among the people. Beware of being a hypocrite in the sight of men. Is that it?
We hear that there are some which walk among you disorderly, working not at all, but are busybodies.
Now, let's go to 1 Corinthians 14 and 40. Again, order. Order.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 14 and verse 40.
Bring it out.
Let all things be done decently and in order.
Now, this goes beyond just sin, right? You could use this scripture in many ways. Keep the order. Why the word order? Because order references good behavior. Do all things decently and in order. Do all things decently and within good behavior. Why? Because that action right now is for the edification of the body. Do all things for the edification of the body. Let no corrupt communication come out of your mouth. Yes, it sounds like a lot, but that's the responsibility of a leader. That's why Paul had these requirements. Pull up the commentary, the Barnes commentary on 1 Corinthians 14 and 40. Let's see what that means. Yeah, you got to scroll down to Barnes. You could probably do Control F. If you do Control F, you could put in Barnes, and it'll take you right there. Mm-hmm. Yep. Just got to scroll down. Yep. Go ahead.
Barnes notes on the Bible. Let all things be done decently and in order.
So he says, let all things be done decently in order. So what does that mean?
Let all things be done in an appropriate.
In what?
In appropriate.
That is when it says it's not expedient. You have to make sure it is the appropriate response. It is the most expedient response. Read.
And becoming manner.
Becoming, meaning does the action line up with your position? When somebody has conduct unbecoming, it's because they don't have good behavior. Their actions do not match their certain position. So as the position rises, like a leader, like a bishop, or as you go up these ranks, you have to have conduct becoming of the position. That's decently and in order. That's good behavior. Read.
Decorously.
Decorously. That's not a Negro word. People hear decorously and they thinking they putting decorations up. Now, I got the other definition of decorum. We ain't talking about the decoration team. We ain't talking about, what do people put up for decorations? Curtains. We ain't talking about curtains. We ain't talking about wearing no curtain. Read that. What does decorously mean? How do you got to act decorously? We're going to go back to that commentary, so don't X that out. But we want to know what it means to be decorous or to have decorum. Read. Oh, my bad. He ain't even got it up for you. Apologies. Help. We waiting on you. Thank you.
Decorum. Appropriateness of behavior or conduct. Propriety.
So it's the appropriate behavior. Have the right behavior. Read decorum, the noun, number 2.
Decorum, number 2. A requirement of correct behavior in polite society.
It's the correct what? Behavior in a polite society. Well, Deuteronomy 4 and 6 says, this shall be your wisdom in the sight of the nations. We are supposed to be a righteous nation. We are a polite society. We have morality and civility amongst the people. So decorum is the right actions to take in the good society for the edification of the body. Proper behavior. Read the other one lower where it says decorum of proper behavior at the bottom. Yep.
Decorum, proper behavior, action that is seemly.
Not unseemly. Go ahead.
And in good taste.
And in good taste. That was the right time. You ever been in a conversation with somebody and they do something, you be like, that was weird. What was that about? It's because it was untasteful. It was not tasteful. It was not the good decorum. Unseemly. Let me see if there's anything I want from that. But go back to the commentary. So when it says decorously, you have to behave with the proper behavior. The appropriate actions becoming of the position. Good behavior. That's what Paul did when he went to Thessalonica. He's like, you know what? I got to leave an example. I'm going to do the appropriate thing and not be at your charge because there's brothers among you that already walk disorderly. And if I come and walk like that, it's going to embolden them. That was not the proper response. All right, read that. There, decorously.
Decorously, as becomes the worship of God.
So remember, it said as a polite society, and now it subs it as decorously as of what becomes of the worship of God, meaning the right conduct to worship God. Read.
Let all be done in order, regularly, without confusion.
Don't generate confusion. When you generate confusion, even if it's just a little argument, even if it's just discord, even if it's just a little misunderstanding, but you're blown out of proportion, that's not good behavior. That's not decorum. Handle it to the side. Pull it to the side. Let's talk about it later. Let's figure this out. It's not decorum. Wow. Now, why would you break the decorum to bring confusion? Why would you break the decorum? To bring contention, discord. Why would you break the decorum in order to bring these things into the body and not have good behavior? A majority of the time, it's pride. A majority of the time, you want to prove your point. Get that in 1 Corinthians 13 and 5. Watch this. Because I thought in decorum it said behavior that is seemly. Go ahead, read that.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 5. Doth not behave itself unseemly.
This is talking about charity. Charity edifieth. All things are lawful but not expedient, but let me do what is edifying. In order for you to sacrifice yourself and the behavior you want to take in order for the betterment of the body, you have to sacrifice your pride to endeavor to keep the unity, to make sure that you don't act disorderly, so you seek not your own. Read that part.
Seeketh not her own.
And that's what pushes you to break the decorum. You seek your own. I want to be right. He always ain't letting me talk. They don't really see my side. I know I said this before. I'm going to prove my point. I'm going to fight for that. I'm going to stand on the hill and die on it. You're seeking your own. If Paul saw his own, he would only care if he got fed, not what the action of being fed by the congregation would promote among the men that are disorderly. He didn't seek his own. He's like, you know what? I'm going to have to labor in travail to eat. And I'm going to take that burden on so that I'm a good example for you. I'm not going to behave myself unseemly for the circumstance of the body. I'm going to behave myself appropriately. Seek not my own. Read.
Is not easily provoked. Thinketh no evil.
All right, so let's go back to the commentary. We're going to finish this out. A lot going on here. We have to go a little faster, too. It's like a quarter of the way done. Go ahead. Without confusion. Can you highlight it for him? Yeah, there you go.
Without confusion, discord, tumult. The word used here is...
That's the Greek. That's the Greek for what word is used. But that word in its context is, go ahead.
Is properly a military term.
Dang. Dang.
Stop the cap.
The word here is a military term. Decorum. Becoming. That's why as the ranks go up, the responsibility goes up. The appropriate behavior, the requirement goes up. Read.
And denotes the order and regularity with which an army is drawn up.
So it denotes, or it means, or it's meant to signify how an army should move. That's decorum, but good behavior, order, no fraternization, separation and righteousness. That's all good behavior. All right? So let's go back, Deuteronomy 1:15. Okay. So now, we got a little background about what the good behavior is. So let's go a little bit faster and talk about when 1 Timothy 3 says, yo, these brothers got to have these attributes. These brothers that have these attributes are getting promoted to the office of a leader, like we're going to read in Deuteronomy. It wasn't just I had one conversation with them, and yeah, they seem pretty good. No. These actions, your behavior must be a reputation. Go ahead, read that.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1 and verse 15. So I took the chief of your tribes, wise men, and known.
And what?
And known.
Read.
And made them heads over you, captains over thousands, and captains over hundreds.
Sounds awfully militaristic. Go ahead.
and captains over 50s, and captains over 10s,
Read.
and officers among your tribes.
So, decently in order is a militaristic term when you go back to the Greek. And on top of that, he says not just wise men, but known. Your reputation precedes you. Your name is there, not for just what you say, but how you act. How do we know that? Because if you jump to Exodus 18, it says known, and then it gives you a list of attributes again. So you have to have experience with these men in order to put them in the position. So Deuteronomy 1, Exodus 18 is the prequel to 1 Timothy 3. They have to have a reputation of these good works. So now let's go to Exodus 18:25. Read that. Yes, sir. Because remember, Deuteronomy means like the second time. So this comes from an earlier book of the law. Read.
The book of Exodus, chapter 18 and verse 25. And Moses chose able men.
Chose what?
Able men out of all Israel.
Yep.
And made them heads over the people.
Now, what were the requirements? Go ahead.
Rulers of thousands.
Oh, is the requirements above that?
Verse 21, yes, sir.
Yeah, read that.
Verse 21.
Start at verse 20.
Verse 20. And thou shalt teach them ordinances and laws, and shalt shew them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men.
There you go.
Such as fear God, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands, and rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s.
Again, these are requirements. Why? They have to be the reputation through experience. You must show the good behavior when you move. That brother is not given to covetousness. I saw him deny X, Y, and Z. That brother is able. I saw him handle this, this, and this. This brother is honorable because this, and this. Good behavior, his discernment, all these things. So it's not a one-time thing. It is a reputation. And if you're always found in the midst of matters, getting judged, or being a part of councils where you're getting corrected, you do not have a reputation of good behavior yet. You're not living an unspotted life. You're living unseemly. All right, let's go to Acts 1 and 15. So, you don't think that Paul gleaned from the apostles? Right now in Acts 1, you're going to see the same thing that the apostles did that was mentioned in Deuteronomy, Exodus. Judas has already killed himself, hung himself. There's an open seat at the table for his bishopric. His what? Read that. Read bishopric.
Yes, sir.
Come on, man. That's good right there. Read that.
The book of Acts, chapter 1 and verse 20.
What were you going to interview for?
For it is written in the book of Psalms, let his habitation be desolate, and let no man dwell therein.
Read.
And his bishopric.
His what?
His bishopric.
One more time.
His bishopric.
Let his bishopric. Are we not talking in 1 Timothy 3 about the office of a bishop? Let his bishopric what?
Let another take.
Now, we're going to let another man take the bishopric. Cool. What are we going to do, and how are we going to screen these men for the bishopric? Read verse 15.
Verse 15. And in those days, Peter stood up in the midst of the disciples and said, the number of names together were about 120.
So we got 120 men that what? Read.
Men and brethren, this scripture must needs have been fulfilled, which the Holy Ghost by the mouth of David spake before concerning Judas,
Read.
which was guide to them that took Jesus. For he was numbered with us and had obtained part of this ministry.
Read.
Now this man purchased a field with the reward of iniquity. And falling headlong, he burst asunder in the midst.
Isn't that the hypocrisy we were talking about? You get cast down in the congregation, your deeds be discovered. Read.
And all his bowels gushed out. And it was known unto all the dwellers at Jerusalem. And so much.
Jump to the requirements.
Yes, sir. Verse 21. Moreover, of these men which have company with us.
120 men. What of these men? Read.
Whereof of these men which have company with us all the time that the Lord Jesus went in and out among us.
So there was a requirement that the brothers that took the bishopric had to be there from the beginning. Why? Because there'd be a reputation, consistency, a pattern of good works, pattern of good behavior. So the good behavior comes from the reputation, the name, experience, not just I did that right, I can handle the mission. Read.
beginning from the baptism of John unto that same day that he was taken up from us, must one be ordained to be a witness with us of his resurrection.
There you go. Read 2 Thessalonians 5 and 12. What else? What are other terms for having good behavior? Wise men, able, reputation. Go ahead. 5 and 12, yes, sir. Yes. No, is that 1 Thessalonians then? My bad.
The book of 1 Thessalonians, chapter 5 and verse 12. And we beseech you, brethren, to know them.
To know who?
To know them.
That what?
Which labor among you.
That's reputation. That's good behavior. Know them that labor among you. The only person that we're going to give this bishopric to is somebody that's been there since the time we walk with Christ. Since the baptism of John. Why? Because I know his works. We've labored together. I know his conduct, his character, his integrity, his good behavior. Same thing with Moses. Able men out of the tribes that are known. Read.
And are over you in the Lord, and admonish you, and to esteem them very highly in love for their work's sake.
For their what?
Their work's sake.
Their good behavior, their actions, their conduct, their decorum. All of that. Those are the requirements of being a leader. You have to be an example. Paul said, I wanted to act like this so I can leave an example to them. Yeah, put that up. All these men you see on the screen are examples. Esteem them highly for their work's sake. Read. Is that it? Verse 13?
Yes, sir. Verse 13.
Roman, you got another one? Okay, go ahead.
Yes, sir. And to esteem them very highly in love for their work's sake. And be at peace among yourselves.
Beware.
Be at peace among yourselves.
Didn't we say in 1 Corinthians 13 and 5 that what's going to push you to break the decorum and have an unseemly spirit is because you seek your own. You're not at peace among yourself. You don't trust in the Lord. You have those spirits, the emulation, the variance, the vainglory. All these spirits now push you to break the decorum. You're not of good behavior. So even though you may fit the bill with the apt to teach, with the wisdom, with the words, your fruits are failing you. And your actions are bewraying that you ain't ready for the office, because if you were, you would have the good behavior. You would be at peace. You would trust in the Lord. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Romans 16 and 7.
The book of Romans, chapter 16 and verse 7. Salute Andronicus and Junia, my kinsmen, and my fellow prisoners, who are of note.
Who are what?
Who are of note.
Note, meaning they're notable. They're known. They have a reputation. Read.
Among the apostles.
Among who?
The apostles.
So not only do they have a name, but they have a name among the top men. The men that are going to scrutinize your actions. The men that have the most experience. They've been screened. They've been filtered. They've been purged. And now they're of note among them. Those are the men that you can put in those positions and know for their labor. And they're able. And they're known among their tribes of reputation. Is that it?
Who also were in Christ before me.
Before who?
Before me.
Before Paul. Before Paul. There's that respect there because they have a reputation. Longevity. So good behavior is a long route. Like the men on the screen right now. There's longevity there. There's a history there. There's consistency of good behavior. That's the office of a leader. So we all have to aspire to that. All right? All right, let's switch topics a little bit, right? So decorum. We talked about the decorum. Now, this is the thing. Everything ain't just sin or not. We talked about decorum as the appropriate behavior in the situation. So get Luke 14 and 10. I want to give a couple examples of things that aren't necessarily sin, but shows your level of decorum or if you have good behavior. And they're simple. And it goes beyond these things, but these are simple things. Go ahead.
The book of Luke, chapter 14 and verse 10. But when thou art bidden, go and sit down in the lowest room.
So now, if you're among leaders, if you're among other strong men, the apostles that were in the truth before you, like Paul said, what should you do? Sit in the lower room. You should have decorum about where you place yourself. Read.
that when he that bade thee cometh, he may say unto thee, Friend, go up higher. Then shalt thou have worship in the presence of them that sit at meat with thee.
So now, when you're at that location, they can tell you, hey, come closer. Come to the front. Come up higher. That's the right behavior. But do not put yourself in that circle. That's bad decorum. That's bad behavior. It shows there's something there. It may not be thin. You're just sitting in a seat. But there's something there. Right? Yeah, put that up. Let's say you're a senior officer, right? The leadership says it all the time. Let's say you're a senior officer. But everybody, you're the most senior officer, but everybody in this picture is a soldier and a soldier through 20. You out the frame. You in the back. That's wrong. Because according to the decorum, you should be in the front. They should make space. And if those men have an issue with that, they're not on good behavior. And you should want to be there, because if not, as a senior man, you don't got good behavior. You ain't taking your seat. Why? Because there's probably sin in the midst. There's probably issues in the midst. So it may not be a sin to be in the front row or the fourth row, but the behavior berates the behavior berates the spirit. It shows it. That's why everything must be for the edifying. You must always have good behavior, because it's going to show where your spirit's at. If any man seemeth to be religious, but bridleth not his tongue, his religion is vain. Praise no man before you hear him speak. The way you act, roll, your gait, how you dress shows who you are. Your behavior is important. All right, is that it on that verse?
Go
ahead.
Verse 11. For whosoever exalteth himself.
Now, there might be in that picture, put the picture back up. There might be a soldier in there. Now, he might want to learn the word, which is cool. But if a senior man comes, he should get that spot. And that soldier can be as close to try and get the word as he can. He might be on his shoulder. He might be in a room. All the chairs are taken. He might be on the floor. That's okay. But don't exalt yourself. And now you're a subordinate. Remember, because order was a military term when we read 1 Corinthians 14 and 40. Now you move it. You pushing the senior man out the way. Hey, I'm just going to get through here. Yep, thank you. And I'm at the table. All right. No, it's not decorum. It's not good behavior. Go ahead.
For whosoever exalteth himself shall be abased.
Now somebody more honorable than you comes and takes your seat, makes you look crazy. Go ahead.
And he that humbleth himself shall be exalted.
Now, what could happen is, because you have good behavior, you might be that soldier in the mix. You can put it back. You might be that soldier in the mix where you want to be in the front. And there might be senior men up front. But you right behind them. You right behind them until somebody tells you to move because another man comes. You right there. What might happen is the leadership might be like, hey, that brother right there. What's your name? So-and-so. Come up here to the table. We got a question for you. Now, because of your good behavior, they saw the spirit on you. Now it's like, all right, let me bring you to the front. Let's see where your understanding's at now, because your behavior seems right. Let's check your understanding. And when your understanding comes back good, they might just tell you to stay there. That's decorum, good behavior. But it's different if you break these different actions that are not expedient. It shows and it promotes a different spirit in the body. Disorder, lack of decency, unseemliness. Now weird things are taking place that break the chain of command. A lot of stuff. Go ahead. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Read History of Susanna 1 and 50. Watch. This is an example right here. Because nobody's saying if you're a young man, you shouldn't be in the mix. You should be in the mix. And guess what? Your words and your actions will exalt you to honor. The same way it happened with Daniel. Watch this. Daniel did the same thing. Oh, yeah, my bad. Just 50?
Verse 50?
Yeah, just 50. Yeah.
History of Susanna, verse 50. Wherefore all the people turned again in haste. And the elder said unto him,
Unto Daniel,
come, sit down among us.
It's like a 12-year-old. A 12-year-old. He said, hey, yo, young man, come sit over here. Why? Because his conduct, his behavior, his wisdom, it showed forth. Now he's a man of reputation. Come up here, sit with us. Read.
And shew it us, seeing God hath given thee the honor of an elder.
Now God gave you the honor of an elder, despite your age. Come sit with us and show us judgment. Why? Good behavior. All right, so that's an example. Seating order. Order of how you deal with the men. That's good behavior. It shows if you have respect or not. It shows if you have decorum or not. And if you have good behavior and good decorum, you will be exalted. It really don't matter at the end of the day what position you hold, because the Lord will be able to expose it, and you may be called to the front. Sit among the elders, for you have gotten the honor of elder. Read Sirach 31:12.
The book of Sirach, chapter 31 and verse 12. If thou sit at a bountiful table.
Now you might be at the same table. Now you're eating. Go ahead.
Be not greedy upon it, and say not, there is much meat on it.
That's the quorum. Don't be a greedy brother, a fatback, in the red, and now you're at a table and you finna eat everything. You gonna eat that? You gonna eat your sandwich? Is it? Brother, hey, you ever sit next to a brother, a bigger brother, and you eat half your sandwich and you put it up for later? They'd be like, well, you didn't like it? I heard a big brother in the back laugh, so that means I'm right. He's like, yo, you close it, you didn't like it? What he really saying is like, you gonna eat that? You want that? You want to eat that? All right. So now there's this certain decorum to have. Don't be unsatiable. Read verse 16.
Verse 16. Eat as it becometh a man those things which are set before thee, and devour not, lest thou be hated.
Now, you might devour the food. Why would you be hated because of it? It's the wrong decorum. It's unseemly. It's off. It's weird. Is it bad if you eat 3 tacos or 4 tacos? It could not be sin. Some brothers have a bigger appetite. They might work out, whatever, but it's unseemly. It's not good behavior. There's certain little things in conduct that could promote you to honor or dishonor. Read.
Verse 17. Leave off first for manners' sake.
Now, the same way there's a seating order, there's an eating order. Right? You should have respect. I'm not going to put my hand out first. Read.
And be not unsatiable, lest thou offend.
Lest thou offend. Now, you're in a room full of men, and sisters bring in a bunch of bottled waters, and they only got 2. And because you're insatiable, you ain't got no decorum, no discipline, you about to snatch the water bottle out of the sister's hand. Yeah, I'll take that. Not knowing that there's a bunch of men over here that are the leaders, or a bunch of men over here that have seniority, and you just take that, yeah, I'm thirsty, thank you. No decorum. Not good behavior. You're not reading the room right. There's something off. May not be sin, but there's something off. And your actions berate it. Is that it? Verse 18?
Verse 18, yes, sir. When thou sittest among many, reach not thine hand out first of all. A very little is sufficient for a man well nurtured, and he fetcheth not his wind short upon his bed.
All right, Sirach 32:7. Seating order, eating order. These are little things in conduct. Now, speaking at the right time. It may not be a sin, like we mentioned earlier, to pull a precept. It may not be a sin to add to the conversation. We're just in the conversation. What is the time? Is this a good time to speak or not? Do I have the floor to speak or not? Go ahead, read that.
The book of Sirach, chapter 32 and verse 7. Speak, young man, if there be need of thee, and yet scarcely when thou art twice asked.
Read.
Let thy speech be short, comprehending much in few words.
There's a lot here. Speak when is need of thee. When you do speak, speak minimally. If you a big talker, a babbler, and you don't observe the time, you breaking the decorum. Is it a sin? At the moment, no, you're just talking. But it's not good behavior, and it shows it's an issue internally. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh, and you felt like it was a good idea to babble at the wrong time, and you felt like that was okay. Why? Something's going on. And that's when you'll see leadership pull the thread. Yo, why'd you do that? You've been doing this, and this all week. It's time to talk about it. Now, by the time you talk about it, half hour later, an hour later, we in a whole different conversation. We asking about why you committing fornication rather than why did you say that in the circle? Because your speech berated. There was something going on, and the behavior exposed it. It may not be a sin, but it comes from somewhere. And now you pull that thread, and your ticket pulled, and you cast down the congregation because you came not in truth to the fear of God. Read.
Let thy speech be short, comprehending much in few words. Be as one that knoweth, and yet holdeth his tongue.
It's okay to know something and not have to say it. Why would you say something or feel like you have to say something in the midst of superiors? Because you seek your own. I want to show. I want to make myself equal. I want to make sure my word is heard. That's, like we said in 1 Corinthians 13, that's what will break the decorum. Seeking your own. Read.
If thou be among great men,
There you go.
make not thyself equal with them.
Uh-huh.
And when ancient men are in place, use not many words.
That's the appropriate behavior. Decently and in order. All right. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Go to 20 and 7. Sirach.
The book of Sirach, chapter 20 and verse 7.
Uh-huh.
A wise man.
A what?
A wise man.
Will do what?
Will hold his tongue till he see opportunity.
A wise man will hold his tongue till he sees opportunity. Why? Because the decorum, good behavior, this is the right time to do it. Wisdom comes from that. But the wisdom was portrayed through your actions, not the words. Because if he spoke it out of time, it doesn't matter if it was right or not. There's a scripture in Sirach that says that a wise word out of time. That's where we're going back to the beginning of class where the actions is separated from the words. You could speak a good game, have the right understanding, but the actions don't align with it, and it erases the wisdom. It erases the edification of what you said. You know where that's at? You got it? Go ahead.
Verse 20. A wise sentence shall be rejected when it cometh out of a fool's mouth.
Why?
For he will not speak it in due season.
Not the right decorum, not good behavior. He didn't see the right opportunity. He passed on, and now he doesn't speak it in due season, even though it was a wise sentence. It might have been the right precept. It might have been the right question, but at that time, it wasn't right. And now it's rejected. And now you're looking at everybody like, well, isn't that aren't we studying the Bible? And now you mad at everybody checking you, but you didn't observe the time. And even though it was a wise sentence, it's going to get rejected because the decorum, the good behavior matters. How you conduct yourself matters because it shows where your spirit is at. Something pushed you to use that wise sentence out of time. Maybe you thought it was so wise that the wisdom would shadow the judgment of those you said it to promote yourself to honor. Because it's ulterior motives. All right? Is that it?
Yes, sir.
All right. I think it's verse, what was that? Verse what?
That was verse 20.
Is 27 say promote yourself to honor?
Yes, sir.
Read that one.
Verse 27.
Let's go.
A wise man shall promote himself to honor.
Sirach 20, if you want to learn how to speak and when to speak, this is a good chapter on how to conduct yourself verbally. Right? He says a wise man will promote himself to honor. Why?
With his words.
With his words. That wise sentence wouldn't be rejected, but rather it would be a showing forth of your wisdom like Daniel. And then after you say a wise sentence in opportunity at the right time, the elders would be like, oh, well, sit among us. You've gotten the opportunity you've gotten the lot of an elder from the Lord. A wise man will promote himself to honor with his words. Read.
And he that hath understanding will please great men.
Well, what?
Will please great men.
That's the history of Susanna 50 with Daniel. He pleased great men. Now he sits among the great men. Conduct, decorum, how to speak. All right? Let's go to Sirach 8 and 8. Try and go a little faster. Now, other conduct. Are you a servant to your leadership? Good behavior. Do you serve great men with ease? Read that.
The book of Sirach, chapter 8 and verse 8. Despise not the discourse of the wise.
You despise the discourse of the wise, you won't be there. It's not good behavior. I thought you were trying to be built up. I thought you were trying to take you to the next level. How are you going to do that if you despise the discourse of the wise? Read.
But acquaint thyself with their proverbs, for of them thou shalt learn instruction.
Learn what?
Learn instruction.
Read.
And how to serve great men with ease.
You should be able to serve great men with ease. You can only do that with the right behavior. They ain't going to let anybody with the lack of good behavior around them. You weird, shifty. You ain't got no spirit. Now, You're bewraying yourself with your actions. You have to serve great men with ease. That's part of the good behavior. It promotes yourself to honor. Is that it?
Verse 9. Miss not the discourse of the elders, for they also learned of their fathers.
And you're doing it in the proper order, decently and in order. They followed their elders. They got that experience. You're going to follow them. Follow me as I follow Christ. We're not breaking the chain of command, because decently and in order was a military term in Greek. All right? Read Exodus 24 and 13, for example, of Joshua.
The book of Exodus, chapter 24 and verse 13.
Come
on! And Moses rose up, and his minister, Joshua.
And his what?
His minister, Joshua.
His minister, his servant, his helper. Him that was there at all times to support his endeavors. He was serving a great man with ease. Read.
And Moses went up into the mount of God. And he said unto the elders, tarry ye here for us until we come again unto you. And behold, Aaron and Hur are with you. If any man have any matters to do, let him come unto them. And Moses went up into the mount, and a cloud covered the mount. And the glory of the Lord abode upon Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it 6 days. And the 7th day he called unto Moses out of the midst of the cloud.
All right, that's good. So that was Joshua. He was his minister of Moses. Serve great men with ease. Good behavior, right conduct, decorum, respect. All right? So, now, that was all good behavior. There's a lot in there. There's a lot of conduct. You got to study that. That was a little bit of the examples, but as you read the scriptures, it has all these good examples of how to conduct yourself in different situations. That's good behavior. Even when it's not a sin, is it expedient? Is it edifying for the people that I'm around? If I'm a superior, is this going to edify those that follow me? Would I want them to do exactly as I do in this moment? Even though I can be late, is it edifying if I'm late? Because now am I putting a double standard in the body? What do they think? Will I lose respect? Will I gain respect? What if I'm the first one there? Maybe if I'm the first one there, it'll make them want to do better. So the best use of my time is by teaching with my actions. I'm the first one there. Now, they're going to want to be more like you. Dang, he left after and he came before. I got to get on that level. Now you're inspiring. Good behavior. It was not a sin to be 5 minutes late. But decorum and edification was on your mind. You didn't seek your own. You sacrificed yourself like Paul did for the betterment of the church. Good behavior. Now, we also said good report of them that are without. Get that. Did I send that to y'all? Good report of them that are without. And which commentary to look at? No? I got you right now. Yeah, put it is in David's Telegram. So while we're waiting, let's talk about good report with them that are without. Read Daniel 1 and 9. Read that.
The book of Daniel, chapter 1 and verse 9. Now God had brought Daniel into favor.
Now, watch this. Daniel was promoted to honor among the elders, right? Okay. Well, then Daniel went into captivity. So this good behavior, it extends beyond the four walls of your congregation. The scripture says, have a good report of them that are without, meaning outside the body. Just because you have good behavior in the body, you could act like an idiot outside the body and reproach the ministry. Shame the ministry. So now Daniel, who was a wise man, he was given a lot of an elder among his people. Now he's among the Babylonians. So what does it say about him? Go ahead.
Now God had brought Daniel into favor and tender love with the prince of the eunuchs.
With who?
With the prince of the eunuchs.
That's not his nation. Read.
And the prince of the eunuchs said unto Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who hath appointed your meat and your drink. For why should he see your faces worse liking than the children which are of your sort? Then shall ye make me endanger my head to the king. Then said Daniel to Melzar.
Jump to verse 18.
Yes, sir. Verse 18. Now at the end of the days that the king had said he should bring them in, then the prince of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar. And the king communed with them, and among them all was found none like Daniel.
So now, because of Daniel's conduct, the other nations are talking to him, dealing with him. He's like, dang, there's nobody like you. You could be a strong presence outside the body in righteousness. That's what Deuteronomy 4:6 said. Wisdom in the sight of the nations. What a great, wise, and understanding people this is. That's a good report of them that are without. Can you take that good behavior out there so that the ministry can't be blamed? Now, because you have that good reputation, you're able to get certain positions among the nations. You're able to be blameless in the nation, with the nations. Watch, this is what happens to Daniel. Keep reading to verse 20.
And among them all was found none like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Therefore they before the king, and in all matters of wisdom and understanding, that the king inquired of them, he found them 10 times better.
Dang.
Than all the magicians and astrologers that were in all his realm.
Because of his conduct, he had favor. And then he was able to show forth his wisdom again and get that notoriety. Now read chapter 2 and 48.
Daniel chapter 2 and verse 48. Then the king made Daniel a great man.
A what?
A great man.
So now, when you have a good report of them that are without, and you have good behavior among those that aren't in the body, now you start to be able to help your nation with position. A bishop, someone that's representing the church, has to have a good report of them that are without. Why? Because we are surrounded by those that want to shame the ministry. We're surrounded by popular persuasions, media, those that try and lay a snare and trap privily. So it behoove you to put somebody in a position that isn't going to shame the ministry when they're outside of the body. They may act right in the body, but now they go into work and saying, all these Edomites are going to die when Christ comes back. And now they going, now you at work, you're trying to request a day off, and he says, we can't give you a day off. He says, yeah, I figured, you're the devil. You're the devil. Now, your conduct is not going to have a good report without. Jimmy on the job is like, what the hell just happened? I just said you couldn't get the job off. This dude calling me the devil. I'm going to get murked when Jesus Christ come. Bruh. That's not a good. Now, listen. When you do have that good report that are without, if a slander comes against you, guess who won't believe it? A majority of the people. That's how you get people to fight on your side. Didn't it happen? Was it Paul? Where the city came out on his behalf? So Paul, he's teaching his conduct with those that are without the body, whether the other nations or our people outside the body, when they were going to get persecuted, judged, thrown in jail, the people came and spoke for him. That's why when you rub hands with mayors, governors, community leaders, senators, teachers, anybody outside the body, you got to make the right impression. Because there will be a point where you might need to deal with the mammon of unrighteousness. Get that. Get that real quick. And we're going to go back to Daniel, and we got to close it out. How am I doing on time? Perfect. Read.
Luke chapter 16 and verse 9. And I say unto you, make to yourselves friends of
what? Wait. I thought all the nations were going to be exterminated. I wish I had my voice. Go ahead, read.
And I say unto you, make to yourselves friends.
That don't mean, hey, and I'm be clear, because I know we got blacks and Hispanics on the line. I ain't saying you going to dinner with nobody. I ain't saying you sharing a steak with Jim. But what I am saying is your conduct around him should be above reproach. So then he looks at you like, hey, you're a good guy. You're a good guy. My Edomite voice isn't working today. Go ahead.
Make to yourselves friends of the mammon of unrighteousness.
Those are those that are without. Why should we have those relationships from those that are without? Read.
That when ye fail.
When you what?
When ye fail.
Persecution, slander, issues. Read.
They may receive you into everlasting habitations.
They can help you through that issue. You're supposed to make friends so that they can help you. Get Acts 19, get that example from Paur, where the chief man of the city came and he's like, yo, Paul, You want to go over there. He calmed the people. This is how it says for he was like a friend.
Disciples suffered him not. Verse
31. 30 and 31.
Acts chapter 19 and verse 30.
Now, again, he said, make friends with the mammon of unrighteousness, right? Have a good report of them that are without. Extend that good behavior out there, despite what we know the judgments are for them. Read.
The book of Acts chapter 19 and verse 30. And when Paul would have entered in unto the people.
He was going to go into the people in the theater that were finna tear up Aristarchus and Gaius. Read.
The disciples suffered him not.
Everybody's like, yo, don't go there, because they are finna stone him in the amphitheater. Read.
And certain of the chief of Asia.
So these are the mammon of unrighteousness. These are those of position in the government. They came out to talk to Paul. Let's see if they were like, oh, that's that brother that be cussing us out every time he sees us. That's the brother that be calling us the devil. Let's see what he says.
Which were his friends.
His what?
His friends.
We know Paul. We know Paul was on the move, traveling from place to place. He ain't going over their house eating dinner. But what he did have was a rapport with them. He had respect from them. His conduct was irreproachable around them. He was mindful to stay in the spirit and be a good example, whether it was in the body or outside the body, because the day will come where you might have to leverage that relationship. I had a neighbor come, story time. It's been pretty long in the class without a story. So we're going to go with story time. This week, I had a neighbor. You know what I mean? A neighbor came. He saw me working on my tractor. Right? He's like, I might need to use your tractor. And my first thought was, hell nah. But the way he said the way he said it was, this is how he said it. He said, I got to go move this in like 10 minutes. I got to move one thing. I don't have my, I'm going to use other machine terms. I don't have my excavator or my skid steer. These are like big machines. He said, I don't have those. I need to move something that's coming in 10 minutes. Can I use it? In my head, I was like, hell nah. But what I heard was, I have a skid steer and an excavator. So I let you use this tractor. I know use that, and I know I could use that for the things I'm trying to do for the body. Right? So now in my head, I was like, oh, of course you can use my tractor. Right? But I put some things in place so I know it wasn't a bad situation. Somebody might ask you, neighbor might ask you to use your weed whack or whatever. Put some things in place so you ain't, taking advantage of. But in my head was like, if I'm that neighbor, because of what I know about the truth, right? If I'm that neighbor, I'm a hermit. I don't talk to nobody. I'm side-eyeing them through the window. It's an Edomite over there. I'm side-eyeing them whenever they come. Now, when something happens, now they're going to be like, that's him. Right? I don't have that rapport. That don't mean you deal with them a lot, but there's a certain rapport you could have. We're like, yeah, him? That's the person that's saying that he did. No. That don't make no sense. So that's the good report of them that are without. Right? Same thing with your job, your boss. They should have a good report of you on the job. You shouldn't be starting no drama. You shouldn't be arguing. You should be a good worker. Do your job. Do what you got to do. Don't get fired. It's not a good report. All right? Now let's go back to Daniel 2 and 48 and 49.
The book of Daniel, chapter 2 and verse 48.
Mm-hmm.
Then the king made Daniel a great man and gave him many great gifts.
So there you go. Because of these relationships, the rapport you have with whether it be other nations or those of our people in the world, you're able to be received in everlasting habitations, jobs, help, counsel, different things. Go ahead. And when I say counsel, I mean like on financial matters, get financial help, job help, schooling. Ain't going to them for no counsel about your spiritual issues. Go ahead.
And made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon.
So now, after that, he made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon. What's stopping you from being in a position to help your people, whether it be local government, whether it be in different situations, up high in these different positions, to help your people? That's a good thing. But you only get that when you're irreproachable in your conduct and you have good behavior. All right, jump to Joseph, Genesis 39, 1 through 9. Let's read a little fast. You got a lot of verses here. Another thing, so Daniel, Young man promoted to honor in Babylon. Joseph promoted to honor in Egypt. Why? Because of their conduct from those that are without. They had good behavior. Go ahead.
The book of Genesis, chapter 39 and verse 1. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master.
Whoa. He was a prosperous man. So even though he's in a low estate, because of how he conducted himself, God was able to prosper him for the benefit of the nation. Maintain that integrity on your job so God could use you to help the nation. That when you are received into everlasting habitation from the mammon of unrighteousness, you can leverage that habitation for your people. Read.
And he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him.
The Lord was what?
Was with him.
Go ahead.
And that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand.
When you have good behavior, the Lord, when you commit your works to the Lord will establish your heart. Proverbs 16. But in that same chapter, he says, he will make your enemies at peace with you. That's what this is. Your good behavior, your good conduct. Now the Lord puts it in their spirit to recognize it. Now it puts it on their spirit to help you out. Now you can leverage what the help that they give you for the betterment of the nation. All because you had good conduct, good behavior from them that are without. God will deal with them when he returns. Right. For now, seek peace in the city. Read that real quick in Jeremiah. We'll come back. Seek peace in the city.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 20. Was that 15?
Oh, wait. This is a monumental moment. You don't know where it's at? Oh, no. I ain't going to do you like that. You got it. I thought it was 27. That was 27 and 9, right? Or 9, 29 and 7? What does it do? We stumped him. Mark it on the record, please.
The book of Jeremiah.
On this day and this time, he didn't know where it was.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, Lord.
Jeremiah chapter 29 and verse 7. And seek the peace of the city.
Read.
Whither I have caused you to be carried away captives.
Now, Daniel, Joseph, they're all in captivity. They were promoted to honor in the eyes of these other nations. God says, seek peace in the city, in these captivities that you're in. That's what we have to do. Good conduct from them that are without. Keep that good behavior going. That is who you are. It is not an act in the congregation. That is you. Everywhere you go, that is you. Is that it?
And pray unto the Lord for it. For in the peace thereof shall ye have peace.
He said, in the peace of the city, you'll have peace. Why? It's just like the Potiphar said. I see that God's with him. Everything is prospering in his hand. I'm going to give him more. I'm going to give him position. He said, pray to the Lord so that that the city has peace so you can have peace. God was with Joseph, gave the increase to Potiphar. Now he's promoted. You do the right thing on your job. Maybe they'll give you those extra days off. You can now go do the work. You do a good thing on your job. Maybe you'll get a remote opportunity. Now you're released for the work. How you conduct yourself matters. The Lord can put the spirit on them to deal with those things. But if you're in that mindset, yeah, I'm in captivity. I got to work for the devil every day. We all work for the devil every day. But are you doing these things so maybe the Lord peradventure will loose your yoke in captivity? Give liberty. Didn't Nehemiah have liberty? He talked to the king. He's like, yo, I need to go to Jerusalem. And the king's like, go forth and prosper. Do what you got to do. Can your job do that? Or are you scared even asking for days off? Because you know damn sure if I miss another day, they know I ain't do a damn thing at work. They going to fire my ass. Oh, Lord. And God forbid I got to get a reference. God forbid I ain't got no friends here. So because your behavior has not been good on the job. Anyway, go back. Genesis 39.
Genesis chapter 39 and verse 4.
Let's go.
And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house. And all that he had, he put into his hand. And it came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer in his house, and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And
Wait. Read it again.
And it came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer in his house, and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake.
For whose sake?
Joseph's sake.
So the Lord blessed their endeavors that Joseph was over so that they would look at Joseph like it was him. But it was really the Lord prospering their actions so that Joseph could continue to ascend, so that he would be in a position to help and provide the everlasting habitations. You gotta think God is working on a different scale. When the scripture says, my servant shall eat, my servant shall drink. I've never seen the righteous forsaken nor a seed begging bread. You think it's the other nations that's going to give us food? What if we have like Deacon Malachi said, we're going to have our own system separate. How are you going to separate in the system of America without having that pushback from America? There's going to be certain things that we could do and have leverage to do because God put it in their spirit to let us have. And just by God prospering that, we're able to take it down. That's a heavy thing. God could use you, your experience, your job, your finances, whatever that the Lord prospers in your hands so that the nations help you, you can then leverage it for the nation. So now the nation you've been promoted or you've been put in that position for the sake of your people, for your sake. Go ahead.
And the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. Mm-hmm. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand. And he knew not aught he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored.
Mm-hmm. Watch the example of good behavior of those that are without. Go ahead.
And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph.
So now he in the middle of temptation. He has the opportunity to break decorum. Go ahead.
And she said, lie with me. But he refused and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in the house, and he hath committed all that he had to my hand. There is none greater in this house than I. Neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?
Listen, even though we're talking about fornication, he didn't even let the conversation go anywhere. He let the conversation. That's decorum. That's a good report from them that are without. Jump to verse 20.
Verse 20. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound. And he was there in the prison. But the Lord was with Joseph.
Again, go ahead.
And showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison.
Again, favor among them. Read.
And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison.
Now he's over the prison. He was over the Potiphar's house. Now he's over the prison. It's because even in his lowest state, he kept the decorum. And then the Lord used him in different ways. Even in the midst of his trial, the Lord still put the Spirit on others to promote him. Go ahead, because he stayed faithful. Go ahead.
And whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him. And that which he did, the Lord made it to prosper.
Again, the Lord was behind us, so he could have those positions. Now go to 41 and 43. 41 and 42. We're skipping around now. But the same thing. He's over Potiphar's house. He's over the prison. Now he's dealing with the Pharaoh. And the Pharaoh's like, yo, take everything. Read.
Genesis chapter 41 and verse 42. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it upon Joseph's hand and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had. And they cried before him, bow the knee. And he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt.
Here you go, read.
And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt.
You see how he climbed up the ranks, he climbed up the government, he climbed up in position, all because the Lord was behind him because of how he acted. And we can do the same thing. Now, read out Deuteronomy 4 and 6. We're finna close out in a second.
Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 6.
Let's go.
Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations.
In the sight of who?
Of the nations.
So there was a requirement to teach the nations these laws and to act accordingly when we're around them. A good report of them that are without. So that when they see it, read.
which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
They see your actions and you're promoted to honor based on your actions. Same thing with Romans 13. It's talking about the powers that be. Be subject to them. Those are people that are without. Agree with thine adversary quickly. For lack of time, we can't go to all those. But those are all examples of being on a good behavior from a good report of them that are without the congregation. It's all throughout the scripture. All 1 Timothy 3. Read that. 1 Timothy 3, 2, and 7. We're going to close out.
1 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 2. A bishop that must be blameless, the husband of one wife,
Read.
vigilant, sober, of good behavior.
Good behavior. Read.
Given to hospitality, apt to teach.
Jump to verse 7.
Verse 7. Moreover, he must have a good report of them which are without.
There you go. Good report of them that are without. Good behavior in the congregation. So hopefully you know a little bit more about what that means. Lord's will, you get edified from this. And stay tuned as we continue to go through 1 Timothy 3.
What is a nation? Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is men leading by example.